Number one of the greatest single half performances I've ever seen in basketball. I've fully watched all of Magic, all of Bird, all of Chuck, all of Jordan, Ewing, Olajuwon, all of them. It was one of the best halves. It was in the top 5 best offensive halves of basketball I've ever seen.
What Caitlin Clark just pulled off in her return from injury wasn't just impressive, it was legendary. After missing 5 straight games and watching her Indiana Fever fall apart without her, she came back with a vengeance. In a moment that silenced critics and stunned the league, Caitlin didn't just play well, she took over. From the opening tip to the final buzzer, she reminded everyone exactly who runs the WNBA now. Players, fans, and even her rivals were left speechless. This wasn't just a comeback, this was a takeover.
I'm gonna say it, Caitlin Clark is the best basketball player in the world. She's the best basketball player that I have ever seen. She is the difference maker, she is the needle mover, she is the face of basketball right now.
There was a stretch, just 38 seconds long, that captured the essence of Caitlin Clark. It had everything: deep range, confidence, clutch instincts, and a level of poise that few athletes ever reach. The pressure was sky high, the league was watching, and she delivered like only Caitlin can. In that short burst, she reminded everyone exactly why she's the face of the WNBA. Even the New York Liberty and their coach couldn't help but react. They knew they had just witnessed something special. In today's world of viral clips and quick highlights, those 38 seconds might go down as one of the most unforgettable moments in WNBA history. You could see it not just in how her opponents responded, but in the way her haters scrambled to discredit her, grasping at straws, getting more desperate by the day. But the truth? They can't stop her shine. Now let's break it all down. But first, if you were hyped for Caitlin's comeback, smash that like button. And if you watched the game like I did, drop a W in the comments. Alright, here's the setup. This wasn't some random game on the calendar. Caitlin Clark had just missed 5 games due to injury, and during that time, the WNBA got a harsh wake-up call. Without her, the Indiana Fever stumbled to a 2-3 record, including a tough loss to the Connecticut Sun. But it wasn't just the defeats, it was how they were losing. The energy, the leadership, the fire, it was all missing without her.
Wow, the Indiana Fever are just not fun to watch without Caitlin Clark.
The fast-paced, high-energy Fever squad that fans had fallen in love with? Yeah, that version vanished. What we got instead moved slower than the DMV on a Monday morning, and that's saying something. Here's the bottom line: if Indiana isn't playing up-tempo, electric, Caitlin Clark-style basketball, it's not just the Fever that take a hit. The entire WNBA suffers. And oh boy, did the league feel it. Caitlin's absence wasn't just noticeable, it was devastating. Viewership tanked across the board, with ratings collapsing by more than 50% league-wide while she was sidelined. Out of sight, out of mind, and fast. To make things worse, the highlight-worthy moments we're used to were replaced with clips no one asked for. Angel Reese bricking layups, and Dijanai Carrington trying to stir up chaos in place of Kennedy Carter. It felt like everyone was scrambling to fill the massive void Caitlin left behind, and failing. Meanwhile, the casual fans, the exact audience the WNBA needs to grow, started vanishing too. Because without Caitlin on the floor, the buzz was gone, the energy dipped, and the whole product just felt flat. And let's be real, the league hasn't exactly been rolling out the red carpet for those casuals in the first place.
The media, I felt like, mishandled so many things with the WNBA last season, and specifically with Caitlin Clark and her fan base. And that's one thing when you start thinking about how many people stopped watching when Caitlin Clark got injured. A lot of people stopped watching because they are boycotting the WNBA. They don't want to give viewership to any other teams or any other players, whether they like other players on the team or not, because of how the media and the league itself has handled Caitlin Clark.
It was a true put up or shut up moment for the league, one that came right after putting Indiana fans through a pointless 10-day investigation over baseless hate speech claims. All the while, the league turned a blind eye to the real hostility aimed directly at Fever players. And to top it off, this circus followed months of media personalities and even fellow players dragging those same fans, questioning their loyalty and claiming they weren't real basketball supporters. The hypocrisy couldn't have been louder.
The new fans are f***ing the life out of the WNBA right now.
So when word finally broke that Caitlin Clark was officially cleared to return, you could almost feel the entire Fever organization and the league itself exhale in relief. And honestly, you couldn't have scripted a more perfect moment for her comeback.
Get open. 1 second left. Clark doesn't get the shot off. Cloud locks her up.
The last time we saw Caitlin Clark on the court, she was getting hacked on a potential game-tying shot with no whistle as the clock hit 0. That controversial no call sealed a 90-88 win for the Liberty, but despite the loss, the game pulled in a massive 3.3 million viewers. And once Caitlin was ruled out with injury, viewership tanked. Now, here she was, returning to face that same undefeated Liberty squad. The Fever had clearly struggled without her, and the buzz around her return came down to two big questions. How would she look, and could she instantly lift this team back to life? Spoiler alert, we were about to witness something special.
This was an unbelievable ass kicking by Caitlin Clark.
Even though Caitlin was putting up points and dishing out some slick passes, the Fever still found themselves in a deep hole early on. But then everything changed. In what may go down as the most electrifying 38 seconds in WNBA history, Caitlin completely took over and flipped the momentum. Just like that, the game and the narrative was hers.
And Cunningham is down behind the play, but they've got Caitlin Clark. Two players with incredible Clark, another long three. She's back!
Caitlin stepped up and knocked down 3 deep threes, back to back to back. Each shot was more fearless, more electric than the one before. It didn't just spark a comeback, it completely shifted the energy in the building. That stretch didn't just change the game, it set the tone for everything that followed. This wasn't just a scoring burst, it was a statement, and the entire sports world felt the impact.
3 threes in 38 seconds in the first half. Caitlin Clark hit 3 logo bombs, by the way. 3 logo bombs in 38 seconds. This was the Caitlin Clark we all said, oh, she's different. she's sent from outer space. The Caitlin Clark that we saw today was the Caitlin Clark that we were accustomed to seeing. Oh, it feels good, folks.
It was yet another signature moment for Caitlin Clark, right up there with that deep dagger she hit against Brazil that had the entire sports world buzzing. She doesn't just show up in big moments, she thrives in them. Caitlin doesn't just perform under pressure, she puts on a show. Every time she steps on the court, she gives fans exactly what they came for, and then some.
The Caitlin Clark show is very real, and Caitlin Clark's ability to rise to the moment and put on a show is remarkable.
There's just like a certain star quality and like star power there, but it takes you being confident enough, willing enough to be like, oh no, I know what you want. Come here. I'm gonna give it to you. I loved it so much.
And that was just the warm-up. The crowd was already losing it and social media was exploding. But what Caitlin did next had even her opponents speechless. Late in the first half, she pulled off a filthy step-back 3 right in the face of Breanna Stewart, a former MVP and one of the league's elite. And Stewie's reaction, absolutely legendary.
The second-year players clearing out that side of the floor, shooting on Stewie, and then watch the reaction with one another. Stewie's laughing. Caitlin knows it's ridiculous. Just out there having a good time.
Stewie couldn't help but crack a smile after watching Caitlin pull that off. And that right there says it all. Even more telling, in the background, Liberty's head coach was clapping with a grin, clearly impressed. That moment spoke louder than words.
Right in Stewie's face, and Stewie couldn't help but laugh. Couldn't help but laugh. Caitlin Clark letting her have it. And folks, look at Sandy Brondello. Sandy Brondello can't even hate. Sandy, you can hate. You need to appreciate, folks.
When the opposing MVP and the other team's head coach are both caught smiling and applauding your performance, you know you're witnessing something rare. That's how powerful Caitlin Clark's impact was. She earned the respect of her rivals in real time. And honestly, this should be celebrated as a huge win for the sport, if the media and the haters would just get out of their own way. But don't worry, we'll get to them in a second, because at the heart of all this is exactly what women's basketball needs. Caitlin Clark lighting it up, playing with pure pure joy and bringing millions of fans along for the ride. By the time the halftime buzzer sounded, the Fever had the lead, and Caitlyn had just delivered one of the most electric first halves we've seen in WNBA history.
Caitlin Clark just scored 25 points, and the quarters in the WNBA are shorter, not as long, as the quarters in the NBA.
Caitlyn exploded for 25 points in just the first half. Yeah, you heard that right. And she did it while head coach Stephanie White kept subbing her in and out to manage her minutes. One of the commentators even joked it was like hockey line shifts, because every second Caitlyn was on the court, she was going full speed, leaving nothing behind. Let's be honest, if it were up to her, she'd probably never come off the floor. But this was her first game back, and it was against the best team in the league. She was clearly running on fumes by halftime, so heading into the second half, she was going to need her teammates to step up, because outside of Caitlyn, the Fever's offense hadn't shown much life.
The shooting from Howard, Boston, and Kelsey. Kelsey started making a bit of a comeback shooting, but at one point, she was awful in this game. I mean, her shooting percentage was I believe, 22% on like 14 attempts or something. It was bad at one point.
At one point early in the game, Caitlyn had racked up 17 points while the rest of the Fever combined for just 18. That tells you everything. You could see she was carrying the offense on her back. She was the motor, the fire, and the only reason Indiana was still in it. But in the second half, even though her minutes were limited, something finally clicked. Her teammates rose to the occasion, knocking down clutch shots, making smart decisions, and feeding off the energy Caitlyn brought. That spark they'd been missing without her? It was finally back.
Kelsey Mitchell was plus 21, Aaliyah was plus 10. They went on a run in the fourth quarter without Caitlin Clark. And a big reason for that, if I'm going to criticize her when things are bad, I'm going to praise her when things are good. Because Sid Colson did exactly what she was meant to do. She did exactly what she was meant to do. And what she did was push the pace, play aggressive defense, and run.
The final minutes were basically a countdown. The Fever and Liberty just trading empty possessions as the clock ticked away. Indiana had officially handed the league's last unbeaten team their first loss. And this was the same squad that not long ago got embarrassed by a winless Connecticut Sun team. But this night, it was different. And the reason was clear. Caitlin Clark. Her performance wasn't just impressive, it was historic. She completely changed the game and the energy from the moment she stepped on the court.
Stephanie White did sub her out, I think, more than we would have seen had she been playing. And guys, she almost had a triple-double in this game. 8 rebounds, 9 assists, 32 points. By the way, let me point, and 2 block shots. That's one of the most ridiculous stat lines you will ever frickin' see from any player, WNBA or NBA, either one.
Caitlin Clark just made WNBA history, becoming the only player ever to put up that kind of stat line. Not bad for someone coming off an injury, right? But here's the wildest part. Caitlin already has more 30-point games in her rookie season than 96.7% of players in the entire history of the league. She's only 23, and she's already rewriting the record books. But it wasn't just Caitlin who made a comeback. It felt like Fever basketball was finally back, too.
That is what I like to call Fever basketball. The Indiana Fever have come out and dominated.
With Caitlin back in the lineup, the Fever looked like a completely different squad. The energy was up, the tempo was fast, and the game finally had life again. That slow, stale, half-court offense they were stuck with during her absence. Gone. Instead, the ball was flying around, the offense had rhythm, and the pace was electric. It was the kind of basketball fans signed up for. Fast, exciting, and full of movement. This was the Fever team everyone wanted to see.
That's how the Fever are supposed to play basketball, up-tempo, unselfish, working for your teammates, so really proud of our group.
This might be personal, but I think it says a lot. This was actually the first full game my wife ever sat through She's not really into sports, like at all, but she was curious about Caitlin Clark's comeback and ended up watching every single minute. And her reaction when it ended, that was actually exciting. And honestly, she was right. Sure, we could sit here and break down the missed shots, the weird lineup choices, and yeah, the refs were handing out some invisible fouls again, but overall, the energy was undeniable.
Forget the referees. The referees. This was apparently a foul. This was apparently a foul on Lexi Hull. And there were so many of them throughout the game. Brianna Stewart shot 14 free throws. Stewie shot 14. Half of them phantom fouls.
And seriously, I still don't get why the refs needed to review Kelsey Mitchell's 3. It was clear as day she was way behind the arc. But when Caitlin Clark is on the floor, you simply can't look away. This game was no exception. It was electric from start to finish. And while the Liberty and Lynx have been sitting comfortably at the top of the league rankings, this one performance might have just shaken up that whole conversation.
The Indiana Fever just put up 102 points on the Liberty. The best offense in the WNBA is not the Lynx. It is not the it is not like whoever's putting up the most points. It's not the Aces, none of these. The best offense in the WNBA is Caitlin effing Clark.
Putting up 102 points against the league's top squad, the New York Liberty is flat out wild. That wasn't just a victory, it was a message to the entire WNBA. And the craziest part, odds are a record-breaking number of fans were tuned in to see it happen live.
By the way, that was an MVP performance from Caitlin Clark against a team on national television. And guys, I'm going to call it. I think this game might have averaged 3 million viewers today. I think there's a chance.
I'm with the folks saying this game easily pulled in over 3 million viewers. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the peak hit somewhere between 3.5 and 4 million. If you're watching this after the official numbers dropped, hit the comments with a check or an X and let me know if I nailed it or missed. And you know it was a massive cultural moment because as usual, the haters came running. Believe it or not, some people are actually claiming the whole thing was scripted.
All they were talking about at halftime, viral tweets being like, Caitlin Clark is a disgrace, her body language, and it's like, man, she just dropped 25 points. You just hate Caitlin. And I'm looking, WNBA threads is even hilarious. I'm just going to say is I hate Caitlin Clark, no way around it. She makes me the F sick. You will not convince me the WNBA is not scripted. I'm 100% certain now. And this is apparently scripted for Caitlin Clark. They put the magnets on the basket apparently.
The whole body language narrative was downright laughable. Critics were clearly reaching, pointing to Caitlin Clark raising her arms in frustration when Natasha Howard didn't pass her the ball, even though she was wide open and absolutely cooking. Like seriously, when a player's in rhythm, you keep feeding them. That's not ego. That's just how the game works. That's called competing. And let's be real, when the conversation shifts to analyzing someone's hand gestures, that's when you know they made serious waves. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if the same folks criticizing Caitlin for showing emotion were the ones defending Angel Reese when she charged at her after a foul. Bottom line, the players on the court knew what kind of moment this was. Just listen to what the Liberty had to say after the game.
Obviously, we know what a great shooter she is, and I think we just gave her too many easy ones. Obviously, she has great range, and her ability to get her shot off is really impressive, especially with missing some games. And so obviously on a personal level, I'm really happy to see her back out on the court, healthy, feeling good, because obviously it's important for them, but just for her, I'm happy she's back.
The players get it. They've seen firsthand what the league looked like during those 5 games without Caitlin Clark. She's not just a breakout name. She might be the greatest thing that's ever happened to the WNBA. I came across a clip recently where Magic Johnson broke down what defines a true superstar. And even though he wasn't talking about women's basketball, every single word perfectly fits Caitlin Clark.
Define a superstar. A person who can go on the road and sell the building.
There we go. It's a simple definition.
Simple. I'm going to see that person, right?
So you ain't talking skill on the court, that's it. You talk about
draw, Stephen A.
You gotta be
Magic's in town, you're going to the game.
Caitlin is that rare player who actually gets casual fans to show up, tune in, and care. I mean, let's be real. What were the chances of my wife watching a WNBA game on a Saturday afternoon before Caitlin Clark came along? Basically 0. That's the Caitlin Clark effect in full force. And the truth is, WNBA salaries and endorsement deals thrive on exactly what she brought to the table in that game. This moment feels like like a true turning point for the league. The viewership numbers are going to back that up, and now it's on the WNBA to keep the momentum going. If you're still watching, drop a trophy in the comments to let me know. Appreciate you.